Yeah.
And I think there's a very good chance with this AI boom that we're seeing, we're going to see the productivity kick in as soon as the first quarter of next year. So I think everyone who's setting policy at the Fed, whether it's the board, the regional bank presidents, the staff, should have a bit of an open mind here.
Well, that's a great point, given the AI situation today and how it will change everything, growth numbers across the board and certainly business in general.
Hey, what's going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. Ryan Huggins here, aka Win with Ryan, and we have an amazing video for you today. Imagine a massive crypto hack that could have stolen millions, if not billions worth of crypto, but only got away with pocket change. Or a top political figure throwing punches, verbally at least, in a financial markets power struggle. And what if XRP is quietly setting up to outshine Bitcoin in this bull run? Stick around because today's crypto news is wild and you don't need to miss any of this. Plus, we'll head over to X to find out the breaking news is happening in the crypto world today. We'll dive deep into the largest NPN attack in crypto history, but only $50 was stolen. Can XRP keep outperforming Bitcoin this cycle? And as you saw in the intro, Scott Bessent standing strong when it comes to jobs. We know AI jobs are coming, but on top of that, he's also about to punch someone in the effing face, which brings up more questions about the rumor about him, Scott Bessent, and Elon Musk getting in a fight. If you remember, when Elon finally left the White House, he left with a giant black eye after an apparent power struggle between himself and Scott Bessent. And we will be jumping into the XRP charts. Here we see the daily charts. We did bounce off of our weekly spider line as a support. We'll be taking a look at the next level of resistance. We did actually kick off the full moon cycle as of today. We can see our long-term momentum starting to curl to the upside. Short-term is getting to the peak, and mid-term is starting to turn to the upside as well. And so much more to cover for you in today's video. And if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to do crypto research for hours a day like we do for you on this channel every single day, make sure you subscribe right now. And if you are still feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. First things first, let's check out CoinMarketCap for the overall health of the crypto market today. As you can see, we are at $3.86 trillion total market cap for all of crypto. $142 billion worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. Fear and Greed Index still in the neutral zone, coming in at 44. Altcoin season still trading sideways essentially for the week. We're at 53 out of 100 though, which is positive, moving towards full-on altcoin season. Bitcoin dominance does continue to drop. Will we finally see 56% or lower? Looking at the Bitcoin ETF tracker on the weekly report, as we can see, last week we did finish $253 million worth of inflows. This week, kicking off the day one with $86 million worth of inflows. Ethereum had a horrible week last week to the downside, minus $766 million. This week, kicking it off with $20 million on day one. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap. Number 1, Bitcoin coming in at $111,000. Ethereum number 2 at $42.81. XRP taking back that number 3 spot at $2.95. Tether at $1. BNB at number 5 at $873. And Solana wrapping it up at number 6 at $212. As you saw in the intro, Scott Bessent predicts the AI-driven economic boom starting as soon as Q1 of next year. Now, this brings up the big question, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to hear your opinion. If you wouldn't mind, give me a comment down below. Do you think UBI is coming? Universal Basic Income. Is that a thing that's really going to happen here in the United States? Let me know down in the comment section. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was talking about how in Chicago, this is already a real thing. Now, I live in Southern California, Orange County. We don't really have universal basic income that I know of here. I know that some people are saying that these illegals living in the United States for free are already on universal basic income because they get free healthcare, free food stamps, free money, and all of that. Was that a test pilot run to see if it's a possibility in the United States? But let me know down in the comment section, in your state, have you noticed that there is universal basic income? Because the AI-driven economic boom that's coming is actually going to be displacing tons and tons of people out of jobs. So they're going to have to figure something out. Also, do you think this AI economic boom that's coming where literally no one will have jobs to where literally they will have to have universal basic income? You can even hear Elon Musk talks about this a lot. But could it be awesome to where you could literally just go live your life, go do things that's great? You don't have to make money in any way. you have a certain amount of money to go and become whatever you want to become. Is utopia a real option? Let me know your opinion down below. Next up, NASDAQ files with the SEC to allow tokenization and blockchain listing of stocks. And if you remember yesterday, we talked about the CEO of Robinhood who came out and said it's time to move beyond Bitcoin and meme coins into real world assets, literally taking everything on chain. And you are continuing to hear about the world currency reset. Is this happening? Well, Russia is starting to get worried that the United States is literally trying to do this. Russia just announced that the United States is using crypto to wipe out its $35 trillion debt. Putin's advisor says Washington will shove debt into stablecoins, devalue it, and reset the system. And this has already been proven because this is what they say out loud. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has come out and said that's what they want to do. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has told us that's what they're going to do. Now, what do they mean by this? Well, as of right now, these stable coins are going to have to be backed $1 to $1, right? So how does that happen? Well, the stablecoin companies, issuers, are going to have to buy bonds from the United States that no one else wants right now because it's trash, because the United States is in or $35 trillion worth of debt, meaning other countries don't think we're ever going to get out of debt, meaning the country/company United States is going into bankruptcy. But what if you could just wash it all away by moving this debt through bonds into stable coins, creating a new reserve currency, still backed by one-to-one with the United States, aka United States dollar, but the reality, it's just a stable coin. This was a great post by Peter St. Ong, who says jobs are down 600,000, which we talked a lot about over the last couple of days so far this year, the worst since 2008 crisis, but control for deportations and federal layoffs, which we talked about the last couple of days as well. People are deported. They're losing their jobs. People are being laid off at these big bloated bureaucracies within our government. Federal layoffs are happening, but we've actually gained 600,000 jobs. If the Fed gets out of the way, meaning cut rates, interest rates, it could get into the millions as far as job creation, because right now, all these small jobs and large companies don't have the ability to borrow large sums of money, which they can then pay payroll to their employees. So right now, they're running on a lean machine. That's why you're seeing some companies are doing layoffs. In fact, some companies are doing massive layoffs. But what if they had a bunch of extra liquidity that they didn't have to lay these people off so they could utilize that extra labor to continue to grow their company, which ultimately that's what the shareholders want, is the ability to grow the company so that way they can increase income and revenue.
Jobs are crashing with employment levels down 600,000 since January, according to the BLS. Now, there's mostly interest rates, but dig down and it's not nearly as bad as it looks. Assuming the job numbers are true, this is the BLS. That's the weakest year-to-date for jobs since the 2008 financial crisis. While Donald Trump blames the Fed for strangling interest rates, mainstream media is, of course, blaming Trump. For the Associated Press, it's, quote, economic uncertainty driven by Trump's policies. CNN says it's uncertainty plus tariffs. The Guardian blamed Trump and AI. But there's a much bigger factor driving the jobs numbers: deportations. According to BLS, the immigrant labor force has fallen by 1.25 million in the 6 months since Trump took office. That's over 200,000 per month. Census estimates the foreign-born population fell 1.9 million, which is 300,000 per month. Now, some of this was deportations, but most was self-deportations, people leaving so they don't end up in Alligator Alcatraz. Now, this is in line with previous mass deportations under Eisenhower and FDR, where 8 to 10 illegals leave voluntarily for every one forcibly deported. It also means if you lost 1.25 million foreign workers, but only 600,000 employed persons, it's actually a 600,000 job gain for Americans, which puts jobs right in line with the average since 2000. So it looks like we're losing jobs, but actually we're losing population. Smaller country, fewer jobs. To illustrate, we've seen a string of warnings from companies catering to Hispanic consumers like Modelo or Goya, who won't put it in words, but apparently we're getting a lot of their sales from illegals. Now, combine a shrinking population with the fact we've also laid off over 100,000 federal workers, plus maybe 50,000 in taxpayer-funded NGOs, and it suggests underlying job growth is actually substantially higher than it's been since 2000. In other words, jobs would be a lot better with rate cuts. We had 2 million per year in Trump's first term before COVID, but they're still surprisingly good even with the rates. Note, deportation and federal layoffs feed to the other big economic numbers. So GDP has been weak all year, just over 1%, while University of Michigan's widely cited consumer sentiment has also been weak all year. Now, both automatically fall with deportations and federal layoffs since GDP bizarrely counts migrant welfare and government waste as production, while both migrants and federal workers, of course, buy stuff. They are consumers. So jobs are down, GDP is down, consumer spending is down, and a lot of it is actually good for American workers. So it's next brought to you by I Trust Capital.
So an interesting take when you dig a little deeper onto the real stats and what's really going on. And that's why we like to use Forex Factory for all the red folder news that's happening this week. So we have PPI coming out, producer price index, CPI, consumer price index, unemployment claims. We'll be covering all that the rest of this week. And don't forget the next week, federal funds rate currently forecasted at 4.25. Now, previous was 4.5. Now they're calling a forecast of 25 basis points cut, but there is a possibility of even 50% basis cut. So the big news right now is that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent threatened to punch Pulte in the face, Bill Pulte, who is in charge of the housing and financial department in the current administration. The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be one of celebration. It was both the much anticipated inaugural dinner at the executive branch, the ultra exclusive Georgetown Club, created by and for Trump's uber rich, and a birthday party at the same time for MAGA-friendly podcaster Chamath. But amid the cocktail hour dinner, Bessent lashed out at Pulte in an expletive-laden diatribe. The Treasury Secretary had heard from several people that Federal Housing Finance Agency director had been bad-mouthing him to Trump, which no one wants to be bad-mouthed to Trump because you want to be on the inside and not have any secrets behind the back. He wasn't about to engage in chit-chat as if nothing was amiss. So he goes up and says, "Why the F are you talking to the president about me? F you. I'm going to punch you in the effing face." Pulte appeared stunned, and the tense encounter prompted club owner and financier Omid Malik to intervene, according to 3 people. But Bessent wasn't having it. He sought off to kick him out. Bessent went on to say, "It's either me or him. You tell me who's getting the F out of here." Or he added, "We could go outside." Pulte then responded back, "To do what? To talk?" "No," Bessent replied, "I'm gonna beat your effing butt." During the seated dinner, Bessent and Pulte were placed on the opposite ends of the table as the party went off without any further episode. And relatedly, Bessent and Pulte have been on opposite sides of the debate about whether Trump should fire Federal Reserve Jerome Powell. Bessent had privately cautioned that such a decapitation would destabilize financial markets. Pulte, on the other hand, has repeatedly called on Powell to resign and has taken the position that Trump has the power to fire the chair for cause based on his alleged mismanagement of costly Fed headquarters renovations. Pulte even gave Trump a draft letter firing Powell, the Washington Post reported. So on top of all of that negative jobs data that came out last week, they also had actual heads of the departments ready to duke it out. Now, some would say this is a good thing, right? They're both fired up. They're both fighting for their cause, and they're both fighting for the country. But it is a little bit of a embarrassing situation for Trump to have to deal with Scott Bessent beating everybody up in the administration. Before we get into XRP outperforming Bitcoin this cycle, the largest node package manager attack ever has been found and stopped. Hackers broke into the Node Package Manager NPN account of a well-known software developer and added malware to popular JavaScript libraries targeting crypto wallets. Hackers have only managed to steal $50 worth of crypto from a massive supply chain hack affecting JavaScript software libraries, industry security researchers say. Picture this. You compromise the account of a NPM developer whose packages are downloaded more than 2 billion times per week. You could have unfettered access to millions of developer workstations. Untold riches await you. The world is your oyster. Your profit, less than $50. Crypto projects that didn't download the NPM still at risk. The breach targeted packages such as Chalk, Strip ANSI, and Color Convert, small utilities buried deep into the dependency trees in countless projects. Even devs who never installed them directly could be exposed. NPM is like an app store for developers, a central library where they share and download small code packages to build JavaScript projects. Ledger's chief technology officer, Charles Guillemette, was among many who have urged crypto users to proceed with caution when confirming on-chain transactions. In a separate post, Ledger said its devices weren't directly affected by the NPM attack. You won't be instantly drained, crypto founder says. Only crypto projects that updated after the malware-infected NPM package was published may be at risk, and even then, users must approve the malicious transaction for it to work. And the good news is, if you were a part of Altcoin Pro University, we'd get put out a notification to all of our people, all of our community, over 960 members worldwide. Security warning, supply chain hack, pause all transactions. We warned literally everybody. This was 9 hours ago before I even recorded this video. So if you would like to get notifications about security ideas, altcoin picks, DeFi yield picks, airdrop opportunities, crypto news delivered straight to you, make sure you go down to the link in the description below and sign up right now. We do have a 14-day free trial to Altcoin Pro University. If you use Solflare for Solana, you are likely not at risk according to the team, both in hot and hardware wallets. Update number 2, Camino on Solana is safe. Update number 3, supply chain hack latest status. Good news. The malicious code has been fixed and removed from the GitHub repository. The bottom line is, if you didn't do any transactions and if you sat tight for a little while, you were safe. Let the decentralized apps push clean updates before diving back in. XRP price has painted a classic bullish reversal pattern against Bitcoin, eyeing gains over 100% in the coming months. XRP has outperformed Bitcoin by nearly 300% since President Donald Trump's election in November. As you can see, XRP based on price against Bitcoin is up 291% in this picture. The key question is whether XRP can keep outperforming Bitcoin as the bull cycle matures, or if history will repeat and Bitcoin reclaims the spotlight. The XRP versus Bitcoin weekly chart shows crypto market's most reliable bullish reversal pattern, dubbed the inverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder, the head, right shoulder, and then this creates the neckline. So once we break above this level here, it's off to the races. A decisive close above this level could validate the formation and open the door for a run towards 5,700 Satoshis, more than 100% higher than current levels by the end of 2025. XRP also printed a golden cross on its weekly time frame in August when its 50-week exponential moving average climbed above the 200-week EMA. We are looking to see if we can build enough momentum for us to break out from here, noting that the breakout above 2,400 Satoshis to 3,570 Satoshi range could push XRP BTC to as high as 9,000 Satoshis. And if you're not familiar with what that means that one XRP would be the equivalent of 9,000 Satoshis. Coinbase's institutional head of research, Doug Duong, wrote in August, market conditions now suggest a potential shift toward a full-scale altcoin season as we approach September, which is really exciting because everyone thinks September is the worst month for crypto. But now we have an opportunity to really see a surge in September. And as we mentioned in the beginning of every video talking about Bitcoin dominance, it has slipped to that 57th percentile, its lowest since January, hitting at early stages of capital rotation and positioning XRP as a key beneficiary. So let's head over to the charts and take a look at XRP to the US dollar. Now, this is what you're most commonly going to see is price comparison to the US dollar. But we do have the XRP Bitcoin price charts here that we do look at from time to time as well. And in fact, if you zoom all the way out, we have talked about this area of resistance right in this zone right here, that once we do break out of this level, which was similar to what that gentleman was talking in the other article we were just reading, once we break above this level, he's talking about getting up into 0.00009, which will be here because you're going to face the resistance here. But there is also an opportunity of getting all the way up into these levels here of 0001. But first, let's take a look at XRP on the daily. As you all know, we've been talking about this big bullish pattern that has been staring us right in the face, which is a bullish flag pattern with the pennant. And as we zoom in here real tight, we can see that we did have the liquidity grab to the downside. We have surged back to the upside per yesterday's candle. We have broken above our supply and demand zone here of 292, and we are about to push up to these next levels, which we'll cover in just a moment. But what I'm looking for on the bigger picture here, a couple of things. Let's move this now that the full moon is already officially here. We talked about this yesterday. Short-term momentum had started to climb, but this midterm momentum was still laying flat as of yesterday. So literally yesterday's candle pushed that strength all the way up to this level here of the 67 level. Once we break above the 75, we're going to be even more positive news. But take a look at this. This is what really, really matters, and this could happen for us in the next 24 to 48 hours. We break back above the zero line on the daily charts for long-term momentum, which we use the Wolfpack indicator for. You can see we actually dipped into bearish momentum here August 20th. We did ride this. We had that crazy spike up, but rode down to the lowers. Last time we broke from being below the line, broke above it into the green, was back here on July 2nd. And that's when we rode prices from 222 up to new all-time highs of 366. So looking for that to happen, looking for this price to continue with some good momentum to the upside. We now have had two very nice green candles to the upside. The one thing that we are seeing right now is a little bit of a pullback here. Let me see right here. We're going to turn that off. We could definitely see a little pullback into this fair value gap. So let's turn that on. You can see we have a fair value gap coming right back to retesting off of our supply and demand zone. We do not have to fill this fair value gap at this moment. We can just continue cruising to the upside. Next level up, we have a fair value gap up here at $3.15. But at that time, we already have full confirmation of this bullish flag pattern playing out. So let's take a look what I mean by that. Well, when we take a look at our pattern and we have this breakout level right here, we take a look at where that breakout level is happening and we continue this momentum. Now, it could also fail and come back down, but right now we're going to be optimistic and going to the upside because we have a lot of signs showing we're almost bullish, okay? So what we look at, where is this price target? We're looking at $4.47 to the upside for XRP on this bull flag pattern, which if you take a look from the bottom of this level here to the top of this level here, which we can even stretch it out a little more for us, and we take a look at this right now, breaking out could give us a little bit more height as well. So $4.67. This is on standard candles. Now we can also look at logarithmic, and this is going to be even larger of a play. So if we go down from the bottom, and this is our bull flagpole here, and we move this to the breakout level on logarithmic, now you're talking about $5.61 to the upside. Now we look at the 3-day charts as we've been talking about here on standard, not logarithmic. We do know that our short-term momentum has zeroed out. Our midterm momentum has gotten very close to the bottom, and that can start to make a turn to the upside too. Take a look at this. Our long-term momentum is starting to make the turn. Once we see this, which we have 21 hours and 15 minutes left in this candle. By the time you're watching this, you're going to have less than 12 hours left in this daily candle, 3-day candle actually, and that should see the short-term momentum start to make the turn to the upside. Again, we'll correlate this right here. Last time the 3-day momentum started to swing to the upside on short-term momentum, June 24th. Now, this was early, but it did start to really make that push to the upside. At that same time, short-term momentum was pushing up. Long-term momentum was still showing bearish, so it wasn't even ready to make the run. But once we did cross over the green here, which was this candle on this one, we had massive volume candles to the upside. Also, when we check in with our weekly spider lines on the logarithmic chart, this is what we've been talking about. Now, if you're new here, the spider lines actually are from Crypto Face on YouTube. He taught me this, but we have our level of interest here with a pivot point in the middle using the Ray tool, which is a trading view tool called the Ray. Gives you 2 points of interest, which is the drop of 2018, the high of 2021, and then it draws patterns into the future. Now, as you can see right now on our logarithmic scale, bodied candles on the 3-day candles, it came and tipped right off of this level, the $2.78 level. In the past, it was a resistance turned support. And then now we have our green spider line right here, which is at the $3.48 level back here in July of 2000 or July 18th of 2025. And then now that would be getting us more closer to a price of $3.55 when we push back to these highs. But let's go ahead and look for some more pressing, more important short-term supply and demand zones. So we're going to go to Heikin-Ashi candles on standard chart, not logarithmic. And we're going to look for levels of support to the downside if price wants to continue to drop to the downside. So what we're going to look for is where the breakout happened. We switched from red to green. That final red candle is going to be our support zone. We're going to turn the magnets on because we want to draw it on that exact candle right there. Boom. Okay, now we have a nice level of support. If price does start to come back down, we have a support at $2.81 to $2.79. Now, as we surge to the upside, we can see this $3.02 level coming in. When we switch back to traditional candles and we switch back to the weekly charts, we can see right here that these are candle bodies that were very, very important to us in the past, and those are going to be a level of resistance as well. So as we start to surge back up, our level of resistance is $3.02. Now, as you know, we have a support that we just drew out of 281 with a resistance of 302. After we break above 302, and this is just really simple, easy supply and demand zones based off of weekly candle body closes, we're going to move up to here. So we had a surge up, rejected, then it started coming back down. So that is going to give us another resistance here of $3.18. After that, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We only have one more resistance left for bodied candle closes before we get into absolute price discovery mode. Because as you see here on the weekly charts, last time we got to these prices, the body candle pushed here, $3.46, unfortunately failed and came back down. So as we break above 302, then we break above 319, then we break above 345 with the candle body close, we're going to be into price discovery mode. And if we take a Fibonacci from our most recent high to our most recent swing low, and we draw this out, we're going to have a couple of things coming into confluence with this as well. This weekly bodied candle close runs into $3.45, which is also the weekly candle close and the 786 Fibonacci. Then we have the 0.50 Fibonacci right here, which also coincides with our weekly levels of candles, which we're going to be running into as resistance at 318. Amazing how that works. But once we get into price discovery, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Look at this. $4.26 to the upside at level 1. Level 2, $5.23. Level 3, $6.26. Level 4, $6.80. So very exciting as we continue the bullish momentum to the upside. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing that you're maybe not going to like, and that is to the downside. Because if we do start to lose bullish momentum, if we can't break above this $3.02 and then the $3.19 and we just reject and come back down. So we've had right here a high, and then we had a lower high, and then now we're potentially having another lower high. Then we would have lower lows, and we could even come all the way down and fill this fair value gap down at the $2.34 level. So that's both positive and negative outlooks for us.
Hey, bull runners, check this out. If you want to learn how to find the next 10x, 50x, or even 100x altcoin in this video, listen to this. Our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University. Just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers.